right. Okay, so once again, welcome everyone to our neighbor nights. Tonight we're going to be covering different environmental education programs that we offer for both students and adults that focus on water. March 22nd, which is next Monday, is actually World Water Day, and this felt like a great opportunity for us to highlight some of the important education that we do with water. Just a quick note about the image. This is actually the headwater of the Mississippi River, and from shore to shore, it's only about 20 to 30 feet. And to put this into context, near the Gulf of Mexico, the width of the river is around 2,300 feet. So it starts very narrow and grows very large very quickly. So why is water important? Water is important because it is necessary for all things to survive, both plants and animals, and it also helps our bodies function properly. Our bodies use water to carry nutrients and oxygen. It helps our kidneys and livers function, and it also helps us dissolve minerals and nutrients to make our bodies absorb those things more easier. So it's also a great universal solvent. It's really great at dissolving things in our bodies, but also out in nature. So for instance, limestone is very easily dissolved by water. So water use in our area. Alton, Illinois gets most of its drinking water from the Mississippi River, while St. Louis gets most of its drinking water from the Missouri. The EPA states that more than 55 cities rely on the Mississippi for daily water supply. There's also barges and commerce, agriculture, so livestock and irrigation, recreation, boating, fishing, waterfowl hunting, and then wildlife. Just like us, wildlife need water to survive. And then why do we decide to teach about water? It was covered really well in the video, but like I stated earlier, water is essential for life and it is under extreme threat. So with a growing population, increased demands from agriculture, and worsening impacts from pollution and climate change, it's really important that people understand the impacts that we have on water. We also listed a couple different reasons why we want to teach about water, so raise awareness, stewardship, but I really want to draw your attention to the picture on the left. This picture depicts all the watersheds in the contiguous 48, so the lower 48. And as you can see, the pink area is the largest one, and that is the Mississippi River watershed. And I just want to bring everyone's awareness to our goal as an education department. We really want to have a systemic, integrated program that empowers students in both greater scientific understanding as well as stewardship. So with all our programs, we hope to have interdisciplinary teaching that focuses on next generation science standards as well as Common Core. So with all that, I'm going to jump right into our first program. So Stream Discovery. Stream Discovery started as PC Wet, and then it changed its name, but it didn't change much else. It's still focused on 5 through 12, but now with our upcoming updates, we actually hope to encompass K through 12, which is really exciting because we hope that the knowledge gained in each grade band will actually build upon itself as students progress through the program. But regardless of the student's grade or lesson, students will engage in scientific principles of observation, data collection, data analysis, and creating a conclusion based on their findings. There may also be an action project at the end of each of the lessons that gives students an opportunity to engage in stewardship and actually empower them to have a voice about the health of their local ecosystems, which is really important. So this diagram It doesn't show too much, but it does show the flow from K through 12. It highlights mostly the biological aspect of a stream study, but students can also do a physical analysis and chemical analysis. We hope that students actually participate in more than one and that they feed into each other. So for example, students can start with a biological analysis, so looking at macroinvertebrates. Maybe they find that the water is rated as poor. They can then, from that conclusion, create a hypothesis and maybe study the chemical analysis of the stream and figure out exactly why it might be uninhabitable. Maybe there's high nitrate levels or low dissolved oxygen levels. And then they can take those findings and create an action project to actually do stewardship and increase the health of the stream. So as you can see in the image, K through 2 really focuses on building observational skills. So students using senses and actually understanding the very basic relationships within a stream study. And then all the way up to 9 through 12, they learn the scientific vocabulary that's necessary to be environmentally literate in this day and age. So maybe that's carrying capacity or trophic levels. And then they actually learn what they do to the environment impacts the biodiversity. So you see that there's a couple things in the chat. I'm going to open that up quick. All right. If you have questions, I know I moved through that really fast. It is still in the making. So as the program grows, I'm sure we will update the community more about it. But that is all I had for stream discovery and a little intro. And now Danielle and Hannah are going to cover Riverwatch.
All right. Thank you. Let's see, make sure. Okay, everybody can hear me, I think. All right. So yes, I'm here to talk about Illinois RiverWatch. The Illinois RiverWatch program has been around actually longer than National Great Rivers Research and Education Center. So RiverWatch is a program of the National Great Rivers Research and Education Center, or NGREC, and it is a citizen science program that trains volunteers across Illinois to collect water quality data in their own communities. Oh, helps to make the slide go forward. There we go. Okay, so RiverWatch was formed in 1995, and it was a program under the umbrella of the EcoWatch network that was run by the Department of Natural Resources. This program trained volunteers to become citizen scientists who would monitor a variety of ecosystems throughout Illinois. So for example, there was the Forest Watch program where volunteers would be trained to monitor a forest in their area, Prairie Watch for grasslands, and then of course RiverWatch to monitor rivers and streams. Due to budget cuts, the EcoWatch network ceased to exist in 2004, but in 2006, NGREC became the new administrator of the RiverWatch program. So while the leadership of this program has changed, the procedures have remained the same. And so we now have a 25-year data set collected by citizens of Illinois and from streams all across the state. So one of the reasons that this program is so important is that it helps to fill some very important data gaps. Illinois has abundant water resources with over 100,000 miles of streams in the state. And because of how the Clean Water Act is written, the state is supposed to designate uses for all of these streams. And so that means that a stream, for example, Jen kind of mentioned them a few minutes ago, whether it's recreational uses or used for livestock watering, or as a drinking water supply. And so when a stream, if we know a stream is used for drinking water, then we want the water in that stream to meet certain water quality standards. that will allow it to be safe to be used for that designated use. And so the Illinois EPA is responsible for assessing all of the waters of the state to find out if the water body, if the stream is supporting the designated use. If a water body doesn't support its designated use, it then goes on a list of impaired waters, and then we're all supposed to work to kind of improve those to make it so that the waters meet that use again. So in 2018, EPA was able to assess about 15% of the streams in the state. So of the ones that were assessed, about 41% were not meeting water quality standards. And those are the streams shown in red. There's a lot of different things that can cause a stream to not meet the water quality standards, including things like dissolved oxygen, bacteria, especially fecal coliform bacteria, nutrients like phosphorus and nitrate. So there's a lot of things that can go on in a stream that can make it impaired. So what does that have to do with Riverwatch? Well, like I just mentioned, there really isn't enough data on most of our streams. If EPA was only able to monitor 15% of the streams, that means that 85% of the streams were not evaluated at all. And so programs like Riverwatch provide an opportunity to help fill in these gaps in information. So we collect what's called trend data. So this data is collected over a long period of time. Like I said, we've been around for 25 years. And that can be used to help determine if a stream site is improving, if it's getting worse, or if it's just staying the same. So Riverwatch is designed to provide both an instant snapshot that gives, kind of an instantaneous look at how the stream's habitat and biological community is at one time. But then when you add that year after year, then it gives us an idea of how things might be changing. So another reason that Riverwatch data is important, data collected in small streams, is that small streams join together to make small rivers, and that small rivers join together to make larger rivers, and everyone is downstream. Jen also mentioned, people get their drinking water out of the Mississippi and the Missouri rivers. Well, all of those rivers started out as a much smaller stream somewhere. And then besides the data collection, Riverwatch volunteers allows us to give the streams an annual checkup, so to speak. So we can get out there and make sure that there's nothing going on like illegal dumping. And if people see something that doesn't look right, then they're actually able to contact the local authorities or the DNR or EPA and let them know when something isn't right. So Riverwatch is focused on three main goals: science, education, and stewardship. So when we're talking about science, we're talking about providing high quality data. This is data that can be used by scientists to measure how the quality of the stream ecosystems are changing. It's also data that can be used by land managers and watershed associations to help make plans for work to be done in their watersheds. As far as education, just learning how to be a citizen scientist is a great educational opportunity. Helps inform people in Illinois about the ecology and the importance of Illinois waterways. And for stewardship, we provide opportunities for citizens to become involved directly in protecting the health of their local streams, both through the monitoring, but then also by providing ideas and resources that help them share that information with their local communities. All right, and I believe now I'm handing things over to Hannah to finish this out.
Yes, thank you. The Riverwatch program thrives because of the work of our volunteers. This slide gives a general overview of what our volunteers do. Our volunteers attend a training workshop where they become official Riverwatch citizen scientists. And after they're trained, they adopt their own stream site that they monitor annually. and then they submit their data to us, and finally they act as stewards in their own communities. Our training workshops, Riverwatch volunteers are required to attend a one-day 6 to 8 hour training workshop. In this workshop, we teach them how to do habitat surveys by analyzing the physical conditions of the stream and surrounding habitat. And then we also train them to conduct biological surveys where they collect samples of macroinvertebrates or water bugs from the stream. And you can see in the video, the two volunteers are collecting macroinvertebrates off of a log. And macroinvertebrates are just invertebrates, so they lack a backbone and they're large enough for you to see with your naked eye. And then finally at the training workshops, we teach volunteers to identify the macroinvertebrates that they collect from streams.
Hey, Hannah, before you move on, can you define for us what a stream is, what our normal classification for stream, either you or Danielle?
I think Danielle should take that question.
Right. So Riverwatch works in what are called wadable streams. And so this is a stream, I mean, the definition of whether or not a stream is wadable is going to change from month to month or after a rainstorm. But basically we have people working in streams where on a normal day, not immediately following a big storm, that you could walk across it in a place where there's flow and it wouldn't be above your knee. So those are the streams that we talk about. I've never seen a specific definition that decides when something transitions from being a stream to being a river. That's kind of subjective, but for Riverwatch, that's the definition we use.
Okay, so why do we use macroinvertebrates to study water quality? Macroinvertebrates are an important part of the food web in streams. They act as food sources for other animals such as frogs and fish, and they also break down organic material in streams. Because of this, the condition of the macroinvertebrate community reflects the stability and the diversity of the larger food web. Macroinvertebrates are relatively immobile. Mobile animals such as fish can escape toxic conditions, and migratory animals only spend a small portion of their lifetime in a particular stream. Changes in populations of mobile species do not always reflect changes in stream quality. Macroinvertebrates spend much of their lives in the same part of the stream, clinging to substrates, and changes in their more stable communities can indicate problems in the stream. Macroinvertebrates act as continuous indicators of environmental quality. In contrast, when we measure certain other water parameters, like dissolved oxygen, this only provides a snapshot of the water conditions from when that sample was taken. And finally, macroinvertebrates are relatively easy for volunteers to collect and ID. All of these things make macroinvertebrates a great tool for determining long-term trends in water quality. After our volunteers collect their samples, they identify the macroinvertebrates using a microscope. We hold open labs across the state for people who do not have access to microscopes or people who would like assistance with their identification. And after identifying their organisms, the samples are packaged and shipped to our office, where we select a percentage of them to do quality control on. Because our primary goal is to collect accurate, high-quality data, we have several methods of quality control. All of our volunteers are required to go through formal training. We only accept data that was collected using Riverwatch methods. The data sheets that the volunteers fill out and the samples they collect must be submitted to us. And our volunteers are also required to take a refresher test every other year. After their samples are submitted, we select 1/3 of them to be identified by a quality assurance officer with the INHS, the Illinois Natural History Survey. So what happens to all the data our volunteers collect? The Riverwatch data has been used for scientific papers and watershed management plans. The data can be requested by interested parties, including academic researchers, environmental consulting firms, city planning groups, and other citizen scientists. We encourage our volunteers to communicate their results to the landowners where their sites are located, and also to present their findings at local conferences and meetings, such as government meetings, Sierra Club chapter meetings, and schools. Riverwatch has been empowering citizen scientists to become stewards of Illinois watersheds since 1995. Since then, we have trained over 1,300 citizen scientists to monitor 970 stream sites across the state. Our volunteers have put in an estimated 17,000 hours participating in over 3,900 monitoring events. If you or someone you know is interested in becoming a Riverwatch citizen scientist, we are holding 14 training workshops this spring. You can register for these on our website. And if you have any questions or you would like to help us spread the word about a workshop, please feel free to contact us. There are many challenges in recruiting, engaging, and involving citizen science volunteers, but this can be a really useful way to both educate and involve citizen scientists in their own communities. All right, now we're going to stop sharing the Riverwatch slides, and Sarah's going to take it from here.
Thank you, Hannah. Let me just get my screen shared with you guys. All right, are you guys able to see my presentation?
No.
No? Oh, what did I do wrong? Thank you for telling me. How about now?
Yes.
Okay, great. Hey guys, I'm Sarah Fisher, Director of Environmental Education at NGRAC. I wanted to thank you guys all for joining us tonight to hear a little bit more about the different opportunities for water education that happen here at NGRAC. Now that you've heard about Illinois RiverWatch and the Stream Discovery Program, I wanted to talk to you about another way that we engage with students and community members here at NGRAC. The Swarovski Waterschool Mississippi River Program was founded in 2016 and engages students throughout the region with educational opportunities surrounding the importance of water as a vital resource to humankind. Who are Swarovski? Founded in 1895 by Daniel Swarovski, the Swarovski crystal business is based in Austria and manufactures high-quality crystal items for jewelry and optics. Swarovski products are known for their clarity because of their patented manufacturing process. But how does this relate to water? The Swarovski business also has several charitable efforts, including the one that I'm about to speak with you about. Swarovski Waterschool was started by the Swarovski family as a way for them to give back to their community. The very first Swarovski Waterschool program started in Austria near Swarovski headquarters on the Danube River. The three pillars of the Swarovski Waterschool program are water education, sanitation, health and hygiene, and access to safe water. Globally, lack of access to clean drinking water represents one of the most significant barriers to health and development in many communities. Swarovski Waterschool works with local partners to identify, establish, and implement solutions that provide clean water to local schools and the communities that they serve. Throughout the 7 countries that host Swarovski Waterschool, lesson plans teach the importance of water and sanitation in the greater context of human health. Lack of access to clean drinking water represents one of the most significant barriers to health and development in many communities served by Swarovski Waterschools. Water school programs engage with classroom teachers to empower children with the knowledge and skills necessary to take local actions and improve their local watersheds. A big part of Swarovski Waterschool global programming teaches the importance of proper health amenities and hygiene education in schools. But here at NGRAC, our program currently focuses primarily on the Swarovski Waterschool pillar of water education. So why is water education important to the schools and communities? The amount of usable water on Earth is incredibly limited. What do I mean by usable water, though? I mean the amount of water on our planet that is usable by humans for things such as hydration, bathing, and recreation opportunities. Only 2.5% of Earth's total water supply is fresh. The other 97.5% is saline or salt water. In this confluence region between the Illinois and Missouri rivers, we have an abundance of fresh water. In other areas of our country and across the globe, access to fresh water can vary quite significantly. Of all freshwater resources on Earth, 68.7% are locked up in glaciers and polar ice caps. When these resources melt, oftentimes that water is lost directly to the ocean. The melting of glaciers and polar ice caps plays a significant role in the loss of freshwater storage on our planet. I actually had the privilege of experiencing this firsthand. In the summer of 2012, I worked as an education technician at Kenai Fjords National Park in Seward, Alaska. The photo on the left is one I took of Exit Glacier, the most easily accessible glacier within the park. The photo on the right was taken in 2018. It's clear through this photo how significantly the glacier has receded in size in just the 6 years between the two photographs. What this photo does not show you is that the sign in my photo on the left says that in 2004, the glacier still covered the area where the sign was installed. Now this area is part of the glacial outwash plain, and the signs have been washed away by meltwater from the glacier. I like to look at the image at the this little rock right here on the left. You can really tell how much the glacier has receded by looking at how much of that rock is exposed between the two pictures. Just in case those last two images didn't convince you, here's a map of the terminus or edge of Exit Glacier from 1950 through 2019. The lines demonstrate the retreat of the glacier over that time. This demonstrates the massive loss of fresh water from just one of 40 glaciers within Kenai Fjords National Park emanating from the Harding Ice Field. The Harding Ice Field is the largest ice field contained wholly within the United States, and it's actually 700 square miles in size. The image on the right is a common site at Kenai Fjords National Park. This is a photo that I took of glacial ice that is calved or broken off of the glacier and is left to melt in the sun. The glacier meltwater flows directly into Resurrection Bay and is lost to the Pacific Ocean and turns into salt water. So if 68.7% of Earth's freshwater resources are locked up in ice, what else is left? 30.1% of all fresh water on Earth is found in the form of groundwater. This water is only accessible through wells and other means of drilling down into the aquifer to get it. And it's not really readily available at the Earth's surface. Only about 1% of fresh water on Earth is available in the forms of rivers, lakes, ponds, and other above ground sources of water such as swamps and natural springs. So how do we get this information out to the public? How do we educate individuals and encourage them to care about protecting sources of fresh water within their communities? One of the ways that NGREC addresses this is through providing education programs to local youth and community members, such as through our Swarovski Waterschool program. Swarovski Waterschool United States of America Mississippi River program engages students in educational programs that all tie back to water as their central theme. It is our belief that in equipping the next generation of adults with the scientific and inquiry-based tools they need, they will better understand how to make informed decisions about water within their communities. By aligning all Swarovski Waterschool programming with next generation science standards and Common Core learning standards, the content meets and exceeds state standards in almost all 50 states within the United States. By aligning curriculum to federal and state standards, we've made lessons more readily available to teachers so that they can easily identify which lesson plans meet the educational needs of their individual classrooms. We also provide teacher training workshops for educators, and we work with the teachers to develop the tools that they need to teach these lessons within their own classrooms without our support. We also do offer support in the form of going into classrooms to aid in teachers teaching the lesson plans. Our teacher training opportunities include the option for educators to earn professional development credits throughout the state of Illinois, which enables them to remain licensed as teachers. It also provides them an opportunity to engage with other teachers and discuss how they would utilize the programming within their classroom. We also provide opportunities through Swarovski Waterschool for hands-on learning and immersive field experiences. Students engaged with Swarovski Waterschool have opportunities to go canoeing, participate in nature hikes, and connect with other water school students across the globe. By facilitating connections between global Swarovski Waterschool programs, not only do students get to see and experience how water is tied in their own community, but also learn about how other communities use water around the world. One way we can accomplish this is through the use of the FieldScope app and our Stream Discovery program. The FieldScope app allows users to log data on community science efforts such as water quality monitoring and invasive species removal. The data on this app is publicly available, and it is our hope that Swarovski Waterschool students will interact with this app at the global level, thus connecting local students with water quality data worldwide. Here's an example of a lesson taken out of the Swarovski Waterschool curriculum book, Drops of Knowledge for Rivers of Change. Here's the book as well. The material from this book is actually available for free on the Swarovski Waterschool website. Bound copies of the curriculum, such as the book I just showed you, are also available to educators who complete a Swarovski Waterschool teacher training workshop at our center. One nice thing about Swarovski Waterschool is that as individual coordinators, we are encouraged to utilize and adapt programming to better relate to our local environments. This lesson is one that is easily adaptable to our local area within the Mississippi River and allows students to connect with real issues that are happening in their own backyards. So this is an example of how different forms of industry can eventually wind up polluting some of the groundwater or rivers that we use for our drinking water. Though unfortunately in-person activities for Swarovski Waterschool have not been held recently due to the COVID-19 pandemic, we've actually adapted some of our programming to a virtual format. If you or anyone you know is interested in hearing about how Swarovski Waterschool can work with your school to provide programming, please don't hesitate to reach out to either myself or Jen Young. United Nations World Water Day is on March 22nd of this year, which is next Monday. In honor of United Nations World Water Day, NGREC has teamed up with Swarovski Waterschool to host a photography contest for local K-12 students in the Metro East and St. Louis regions. We're encouraging all K-12 students to submit a photograph and short paragraph about what water means to them to our photography contest. In addition to several prizes, such as the one in this box from Swarovski, which you'll have to submit a contest entry to find out what's in the boxes. We plan to showcase the photographs on both NGREC and Swarovski social media accounts and websites, and the City of Alton has also offered to showcase the media on their website as well. Another way to get involved with water school programming is to join us on April 10th at the NGREC field station to participate in the Mississippi River and Towns Plastic Pollution Initiative. This program is sponsored by the UN Environmental Program and encourages residents throughout the entire Mississippi River watershed to join in a massive community science effort to both track and clean up plastic pollution within our region. We'll use a newly developed app called the Marine Debris Tracker app to collect baseline knowledge about the types of plastic waste within our watershed, as well as the locations that they're found, and track how this plastic moves through the ecosystem as it degrades into microplastics. We're so grateful that you were able to join us this evening and learn a little bit more about water education in our community. Join us next month on April 20th to learn more about the overall environmental education efforts undertaken by our center, because tonight was only a very brief snapshot of all that we do education-wise within the community. Also, please follow us on social media to stay updated about future events and happenings at our center. Now I'm going to stop sharing my screen and open it up to questions from the floor, or really the Zoom room. And feel free to unmute yourselves or type questions directly into the chat if you don't feel comfortable asking them out loud.
I do, as you guys think of questions, have a few other things I want to mention. So we have partnered with the Sierra Club, and we actually have a seed swap at NGREC coming up on March 27th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. If you are interested in that, that can be found on our Facebook page. We are going to be at the Mushroom Festival in at Raging Rivers, April 17th, and then we are going to participate in Riverbend Earth Day event, April 18th. So we hope to see you out in the community. Although you can't necessarily come to us right now, we do hope that we can have an impact on the local community.
A question from Carla in the chat. It says, can you please talk about how you work with teachers to integrate your lessons or involve their students in your programs? One of the main ways that we do this is by offering Swarovski teacher training workshops to local educators. We don't charge for these workshops, and we also provide professional development credits to the teachers who participate. We also reach out to local schools to encourage them to participate in Swarovski Waterschool activities. Most summers, unfortunately, we had to cancel it last summer due to COVID-19. We host a local camp water school that's open to local students who wish to apply. And Camp Water School is also free to students, and they're able to go canoeing with us and go on some nature hikes and really have a more immersive field experience with water in their communities. We would love more ideas about how to better integrate our lessons and involve other students in our programs as well.
Yeah, and I think that's the great thing about Swarovski is that we are the first in the nation to have a partnership with them. So we do hope that throughout this experience, we are able to spread out wider than just the St. Louis metro region. We do hope to go from, you know, the headwaters all the way down to the Gulf at some point. Any other questions?
I have a little back and forth in the chat with Sharon. I don't know if you have any questions, Sharon, that I can answer to help you in deciding whether or not you'll be able to make it to a session, but feel free to ask.
I see John Sloan turned his camera on. Do you have a question?
Yeah, you can't tell I turned it on because I'm sitting in a dark room.
Yeah.
But I had a question. Yeah, I didn't know that Riverwatch was part of this, I forget what you called it, this other program that included forestry and I think you said prairies. I didn't know that. So I guess first question, do any version of those programs still exist? They're kind of interesting because they're related to water resources. And then I guess the other question too, so you work in streams. What about like wetlands? Does Riverwatch ever do any monitoring in wetlands?
Right. So all of the other watch programs were shelved back in 2004. So those are not around anymore. I think we could probably dig up some of the historical materials, and I imagine that I would hope that the data has been kept somewhere, but I don't have access to that, at least at this moment. And as far as wetlands, we don't really do any wetland monitoring. I know that there was an Illinois lakes monitoring program, and I believe that was being run. I always forget if things like that are run by the EPA or the DNR. I think it might have been the DNR. But I think that program, again, that just state budget cuts have been really harsh on groups like that. And so there aren't any, I think they may have shelved that program within the past 2 years as well.
Okay, thanks.
Sure.
Any other questions out there? Let's see, we just got one. Do you have programs extending into central Illinois on the Illinois River? That could be education or Riverwatch, if you guys have anything in that area.
Riverwatch, we do have training coming up. If I remember correctly, Lee might have been, are you the one? Yeah, you're the one who said you were from the Peoria area. We have a training coming up in Edelstein, which is a little bit north of Peoria. And that one is, I believe, on April 10th. Actually, I'll check my slides while we're talking here. Let's see, yeah, that is April 10th. And then, so we have opportunities there. And so I don't know, and other programs, we don't really have anything currently going up the Illinois River, but who knows what's coming in the future.
I will say that education program wise, we do offer these teacher trainings for Swarovski Waterschool throughout the state. So you don't have to always come down to Alton to be trained. We unfortunately haven't run any trainings throughout the pandemic, but we are hoping to start them again soon. And then in addition to being the US coordinators for the Swarovski Waterschool program, we also act as the Illinois state coordinators for a program called Project WET. And historically, we have also held Project WET trainings throughout the state of Illinois. Those have also been on pause due to COVID. And we hope to probably start offering some of those trainings, potentially in a virtual format towards the end of the summer or going into the fall. Though we're really hoping that we're actually going to be able to start holding them in person at that time. What else can we answer for you guys today?
If you had any coordination with the Sun Foundation in Washburn, that they have, well, last year's got canceled. I think this year's got canceled as well. Is a water celebration that is usually the Monday after Earth Day, and that you know, in previous years they were getting 2,000 to 3,000 grade school and up through about grade 8 students that came to the Civic Center in Peoria for basically a full day program for them.
I was going to jump in there, Lee. So I should probably meet you sometime. So actually, I'm very familiar with Sun Foundation because our farm is right next to Sun Foundation, and I grew up there. I know Bob and Joan Erickson really well. So, but yeah, it's a good idea. I know I've talked to Sarah, I think, and about Sun Foundation. So, yeah, you probably say more, Sarah. But I mean, I think there's chances to or opportunities to link up with them.
Yeah, and also I'm fairly certain that in the past, Riverwatch may have partnered and had a booth at their festival or on Earth Day. I've was tried to connect with a representative of theirs that was at the Environmental Education Association of Illinois meeting just last week, but they haven't gotten back with me yet. So. But I know that their event is at least temporarily postponed for this year. So we'll see what comes of that.
Sorry, I'm just reading the question.
Yeah, I was gonna read it out loud. So despite COVID, would anyone be able to come on site to do a stream creek for a small family group event? I have started a caregiver support.
So I guess the first question would be where is the event? I don't know if it's outside of the realm of possibility, but it's not something that we currently have explored doing at this point. But I would encourage you to email us at either the Illinois RiverWatch or NGREC Education at lc.edu email accounts to discuss that further. Well, I'm really glad that everyone was able to join us tonight. And next month, we will present on some expanded water education opportunities that are available at our center, such as our Project Wet and Mississippi River Exchange programs, as well as our affiliation with a new grant called the Critical Interfaces Network, where we will be providing some new educational opportunities throughout the area, as well as around the Champaign-Urbana area and throughout the state. So we're really excited to speak with you guys more about that, about the educational aspects of those programs next month on right around Earth Day, April 20th.
Okay, if nothing else, have a wonderful night, everyone. We'll hang out if anyone wants to ask questions. I'll at least hang out till everybody else hangs up. Just
I'll hang out too.
doesn't want to talk out in public. So have a good night, and I'll see everyone later.
Thank you guys all for joining us. We appreciate your support.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Have a good night.
You too. Bye.